Hi, I'm Bob Smith, and I live in the town of Wright, and we're doing a series of tapes on people in our town of Wright who have done research and have knowledge and experience about our town. We hope to do these tapes so that you might want to look at them and try to understand something about our history and those that have studied our town before us. And today it's my privilege to be at the home of Chester Zimmer, and Chester's done a lot of research and done years of collecting of information about the town of Wright. Chester, thank you for letting us come to your house and look at some of the material that you have here for the town of Wright.
You're most welcome.
It's delightful. Chester, let's get right to it. I know that you've shown me here a book called Fox Creek Valley History in Maps, and you have a whole collection of maps here, and I don't think we could begin to go through all of them, but you have a map here, and why don't you start us with your introduction to the maps?
We don't want to go onto all the maps that's in that book, of course, and I picked out 3 or 4 that's the most important. This one here is map number 1 and shows several early English grants all around here. As you can see, names and numbers and dates here that was granted.
Now wait a minute, Chester, let's talk about a grant. A grant is one of these little squares here?
Yes, that's right.
They represent...
A grant or patent.
A patent, that's like a deed.
That's like an early English deed.
And they would have been made by the British?
They were Indians, that people, or the landowners that bought the land of the Indians, and then it was verified by the English government. So it was both verified by English government after the Indians sold the land to the first settlers.
So the Indians sold the land to the first settlers, and then the first settlers, with the authority of the English government, made land grants?
Because they were all land grants or land patents, and they were authentic sales. For example, here is this one here, which we are particularly interested in, right in the heart of the town of Wright, outlined in red. This was 2,400 and some acres of land that was purchased by a lawyer in Berg in 1751, and then in 1753 it became an English, verified by the English government. And this red dot I put there to represent where future Gallupville became, after that was settled.
Now, just so we don't get left guessing, about how much land would you speculate this might include?
2,400, and I think it tells there, 2,400 and some acres.
That's right, there it is.
That's it right there.
So that's 2,440 acres within the red dots.
That's right.
That red lines, and that basically is the very heart of Gallupville.
That's right, the very heart of the town of Wright. Now here is the Schoharie River for orientation going through. Middleburg is here, Schoharie is here, Central Bridge is here, and here's the Fox Creek coming through right through the heart of the town of Wright of today, and goes to Schoharie and empties in the Schoharie River.
Okay, I see it.
And that was done all before the Revolutionary War. And note the area that I have traced the boundary lines, and that is, of course, is this first land grant. I have a copy of all these deed records and land patents that I got from Albany back in the 1970s. They're all authentic. It's no fiction. This is no fiction. It's all authentic, backed up by records that I have copied or had copied in both the Secretary of State office and the History and Archives in the State Education Building.
Do you mean just the patent for the town, Gallupville, or do you have all of these?
No, just for the town of Wright. Just what we got interested in for the town of Wright. We were going to see more here now. Yeah,
let me just mention this. This is Jacob Sternberger.
We'll get into that in another map.
Okay, all right.
Bob, we'll go on. Take that map, if you will, please. And we'll have put another map up here. Now, this is an unusual map. Here's the Schoharie River, and this is the Fox Creek coming down through, and here's Old Albany Road, and here's the road going to Schenectady. Now, this is a map that was a copy of the Revolutionary War map ordered by George Washington and was done by Wallace Gray in 1778. It was during the Revolutionary War, and George Washington wanted this area mapped. It's very significant to me. I have the green dots here for the Fox Creek, and this is, here's Gallupville, or would be of today, right where the Kings Creek enters the Fox's Creek, and this is the Kings Creek. And I have hiked a lot of the Kings Creek watershed, and this is a pretty authentic map. The red dots, of course, show the different tributaries that comes into the Kings Creek, and of course Kings Creek flows right through near the post office. There's a bridge in Gallupville, and it flows into the Fox's Creek. And that was done in 1778. And I found a copy of this at the New York library. Now here's map number 3. This is a copy of the 1829 Burr Atlas of New York State. And this green line here, I put on here, drawn from the map. This is the old Schoharie County, the town of Schoharie line, and it was all part of Albany County. The town of Wright wasn't taken off from this until 1846. So here there's a difference of, we were in the town of Schoharie until 1846. And this shows 600 acres of Zimmer patents, often referred to in later deed records, and its area right down to present day. In this patent, there were 3 tracts are different purchases with legal 37 owners listed as a group. John's lawyer and Jacob Zimmer was my ancestor, were the leaders, thus the name of lawyer and Zimmer patent. And here you will see a lot of numbers, and this was, and up in here was Jacob Starnberger. Over here was one of the patents of parts of the Jacob Zimmer purchase and lawyer purchase. Up here was another one, and then this was all over in the town of Middleburg. It's interesting that by English law, only 1,000 acres could be owned by one man. So they had apparently what I call a old-fashioned corporation. There was 37 owners listed because there's 37,000 acres, or about 37,000 acres. And the question's often asked me why all the spare squares or blocks and numbers on the map of several maps. After the Revolutionary War, and late state government on March 16, 1785 passed a law that was to make big changes. It was chapter 39, called an Act for the Partition of the Lands. This act provided lawful means to partition and divide the large patents previously granted by the English government. To put it briefly, each of the 37 owners of the lawyer and Zimmer patent had to have separate and legal deeds. After 6 years of surveying and legal work, it was November 10th, 1791, when the 36,600 acres were legally divided between 37 owners. These numbers are on the records of the several parcels. These lot numbers are in some parcels of land right up to the present day deeds. In the 1970s, I acquired a copy of all these legal proceedings about 200 years ago from the Secretary of State files, as I mentioned before. Now here's another map. As I mentioned before, the town of Wright was set off from the town of Schoharie in 1846. Here's all the squares and all the patent numbers, lot numbers, and again, see this same area in red. And please note this angle here, because it's going to be significant of what we're going to see in the next map. And that's coming up, and this is a good, what we're looking at is a good 1866 copy map, and this is a 1751 Lawyer Berg purchase here is outlined. Now we'll we'll take a look at another map.
Chester, this is a very different map. It looks like it's an aerial photo.
It is an aerial photo, and it was done on October 8th, 1960 by the Soil Conservation Department. I call this for our program here, a fast jump like you do in a forward like you do when using a tape recorder. We've gone from 1866 to 1960 here, and what the significant part of this is, I told you or mentioned about those angles. You see this line, and then comes over here, and comes down here. You can see the line in the woods, the fence row here, fence row here, fence row here. Now that's an old patent line. That's 219 years ago when that was laid out, and it shows on an air map of today.
Chester, let's just get some orientation for those that are looking at it. This is the Fox Creek going in. This is Shutters Corners right here.
That's right.
So when people look at it, so you'll see right here, and then the gas up would be just off this picture right there.
That's right.
No, in fact, it's right there. There's the old stone house.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the creek going in through and around Gallupville,
right.
And then out and on down here. And okay. So then this would be Cooks Hill Road, and this is Warner Road, Cook's Farm, and this comes on, and this would be Larry Hill Road coming back down here to 146, right here.
Let me excuse me for interrupting you, Bob. If you see this wide white line down through here, that is Route 146, which was under construction when this, and that's the banking and the work that was being done on that road, and that's the reason it shows like that. That road was constructed in 1960. Okay.
Let's go on. Is there other information on this map that we could have about our history?
Yes. These marks here are some things I've put on just for my history work. These fields that you see here that's light colored here and spotted around are cornfields that was being harvested in October of 1960. And the soil conservation man pointed that out to me, and also pointed out to me when I went to see about getting these maps, how these patent lines, again, would show, this old patent line shows in today's fence rows, which is really something in my opinion.
And then some of those fence rows still exist?
Oh yes, they still exist, but they're still showing, sure.
Would they be stone walls too?
They were stone walls and fence rows. It was property lines, and of course there's this brush grew up along these fence rows and it shows a straight line. Probably this whole line here, probably this is a property lines.
Okay.
I know
still
that.
Today?
Still today, yes.
Right. Okay.
Okay, that's it.
Wonderful map. We're going to move on to other maps. Chester, you have an interesting book here. I like it. It's quite a textbook. And it says, See New York State First, Official Tour Book, New York Automobile Association, 1915, New York, New Jersey, Canada, and the East. And it's put out by Scarborough's. I was looking at this, and I was looking for the trips and for maps, and I noticed it's got some ads in it for hotels and place, but I don't think there's an ad in the whole book. What is this about?
There's not a map. There's not a map book. There's a tour book that was published, and in the early days of after the automobiles came around, which the first automobile came into Schoharie, I think 1904, and then they had these. This company did this tour book, and people bought this tour book. Now, for example, this is a 1915 tour book, and this we're going to look at this map here on the. Here is the map number 450, trip number 450 from Copeland to Albany. If you was going to Copeland to Albany, you'd take your book, and here would tell how you come from Copeland. Here's where the Tory Tavern is. Can you read it there, Bob?
Sure. It says, leave Cobleskill at the Fountain intersection of Main and Grand Street, right here. And then go east on Main Street, and then it says 6 is the railroad. Go straight ahead, cross the railroad, then the bridge. Road to the right is the trip from Cobleskill.
Now jump on down here to the Tory Tavern. We're in our area.
School is on the right. Turn left. Road to the right is the trip from Schenectady to Middleburg. School on the right. Shutters corners. Slow. Curve downhill. Bend right. Gallupville. Bend left. Bridge. Bend right. School on the right. Bend left. Westburn. Cemetery on the right. Cemetery on the left. Slow. Bend left downhill. Burn. Turn right. Then bend left going uphill. Hotel Matthijs.
Okay, now go around, check the towns here. Go right down through. What's these towns in here in the black?
New Salem, New Scotland, Delmar. And then from Delmar, I guess you arrive in Albany, and you wind up at the State House intersection of Eagle and State Street.
Okay.
Albany Garage, Boulevard Garage. I guess these are the places you could park.
Yeah, that's right. And the main point here says Macadam all the way. It was 1912 when the first state road in Schoharie County was built from Westburn to Gallupville. And that was called the Albany to Binghamton Road. And there was no such thing as going Route 20 to Albany or Duanesburg Way. Then it was all the traffic from Schoharie County came through Gallupville, right through where.
This was the main drag between Schoharie and Albany.
From out of Schoharie, from anywhere in west of Schoharie County, this was the main road, just as this map is. This was a.
So there was no Route 20.
There was no Route 20 yet. No Route 7 or anything like that. Or roads. This was the first macadam road, hard road from Binghamton, from Albany to Binghamton.
Didn't you tell me about Macadam?
Well,
who was Macadam?
There was a man by the name of Macadam that this is not in our area, of course. I don't know just where it was, but history tells I've read the name by the name of his last name was Macadam, that apparently perfected mixing stone and oil or mixing stone and tar to make a road base. Now I don't know just what part of the state that was in, but that was how it became Macadam Road, or that's what the name.
I think I heard his name was Mick Adam.
That's right.
And he was Scottish.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay. But
we turned it into Macadam, but it really was M-C-A-D-A-M.
That's where the name come from.
Macadam. All right.
It was here's an interesting story. It was 1922 when my father got a new Buick four-cylinder car, touring car, and we went to see a cousin in Lake Luzerne. Lake Luzerne is just south of Lake George. And I remember very well sitting in the back seat with Grandpa and Grandma, Mother and Father in the front seat, Mother having the Blue Book, which was a new copy like this one, only 1922, and reading off after we left Schenectady, just as this map, or just this is here, what we would expect to find. And we found our way to Lake Luzerne and Lake George that day and back with no road maps.
But just this instruction sheet.
Just this instruction sheet.
Wonderful.
And here's a significant thing in history. For me, anyway, I can remember that 1922. 1931, when I was married, we went on our wedding trip, my wife, of course, and young wife, and went through the New England states, and no problem. Lots of road maps, all gas stations, follow the road maps, so the same as we have today. Only now you have to buy your road maps.
Yes, they don't give them out free anymore.
Then you picked them up at gas stations and
they were free.
And they were free.
Gulf Oil Company put out a lot of them.
That's right. Yeah, and again, I want to mention again, it was the last thing, the first macadam road in Schoharie County was from Westburn to Gallupville, right in our Town of Wright.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Okay.
Okay. Chester.